Little slate on tap for tonight in MLB DFS. It is just a 6-game slate, but despite the short nature of today's slate, we still got some really good options, including a pair of young aces toeing the rubber for tonight. So let's dive on in and get you set for some Thursday MLB DFS. Welcome on in to the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A. That is right here on the FanDuel Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope pages. My name is Jim Sanas. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to break down Thursday night 6-game main slate. Locks at 7:10 tonight. Those 5 extra minutes critical as you attempt to destroy your lineups. If you're anything like me, those last 5 minutes can be very destructive. So edit wisely, I think is the best way to phrase things for tonight. But as mentioned, pretty fun slate. We're going to break things down, answering your questions no matter where you're watching the stream. We can answer questions from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope. It does not matter if you're watching. You have questions about tonight's pitchers, about the stacks, some one-offs, general MLB DFS process. Get those questions in. This is our second to last MLB DFS stream of the year. We'll be having one tomorrow. We have the snake draft live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday. That's with myself, JJ Zacharyson, and Brandon Gadula. That is at 3:30 in the exact same place. We'll stay on the same stream and come back with our MLB DFS Q&A immediately after. That'll be our final one of the year. We are not doing these to the playoffs because I want to watch the playoffs and just kind of enjoy them. So we'll be doing that. No more MLB DFS Q&As after Friday, but we'll still have our snake draft every Friday at 3:30 and our waiver wire Q&A with JJ Zacharyson and me. That is at 3:30 every Tuesday. So still plenty of incentive for you to subscribe to the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope pages. Let's take some questions here. Over on YouTube, Cody says he missed the solo shot. Sorry, Cody. It's still posted. It's actually right here on the YouTube page. So you stick around for this, ask your questions, then go back and see what we said this morning. Mateo, thoughts on pitchers Christian Javier and Chris Bubik? Okay, Christian Javier, I think, is my favorite lower salary pitcher. He's $7,400. And Mateo, I don't like using pitchers exclusively based on their matchup. So to me, I think my main motivation is trying to find ways to get to guys like Corbin Burns, Ian Anderson, if the weather allows us to, and staying with them rather than going down. But if you do want to go down, Javier is my favorite, facing the Rangers. And that's the big motivation for me in using Javier, because the Rangers have just a 67 WRC plus against righties with a 25% strikeout rate. That WRC plus is dead last in the slate by a pretty wide margin. The strikeout rate is second last, so they're a dream matchup. Javier is not at home, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it's not a bad park just because they've been, I think actually it's 79 degrees. So they'll probably have the roof open for tonight in Texas. But I still think that he works. The reason that I'm not super inclined to go there is that, or the reason I'd rather spend up is that Javier himself has walked a lot of batters, lets up some fly balls, doesn't have a huge strikeout rate, and he doesn't go all that deep in the game. Now, he did go 93 and 94 pitches in his two starts before he made an appearance out of the bullpen, so he can go deep. He is capable of that, but I have better pitch count projections in mind for guys like Burns. Lance Lynn is up there too at $9,500, so I'd rather go with them. But Javier, I think, is in play. As far as Chris Bubik goes, he's facing the Tigers, and the Tigers are really good against lefties. Their active roster has a 136 WRC plus with a 36% hard hit rate. They don't have a lot of names left on their team against lefties, but they still get the job done. So that's why I'm lower on Bubik, and I think I'd rather stack the Tigers than use Bubik as a pitcher. He's not a big strikeout guy. He's not the worst by any means, but I just think it's a tougher matchup. So in on Javier, not as in on Bubik from a value play. But again, my main focus is getting the higher salaried pitcher for tonight. Fantasy fun. Number one pitcher. My number one pitcher is Corbin Burns. He is facing the Cardinals. The numbers you see here on this screen are his numbers since he rejoined the starting rotation. This is a 7-start sample. He has a 2.72 skill interactive ERA, a 38% strikeout rate, 7% walk rate, and a 26% hard hit rate. He's been kind of like a higher strikeout version of Brandon Woodruff, and if you've watched the stream enough, you know how much I enjoy Brandon Woodruff. So, I'm really in here. If I say he is a higher strikeout version of a pitcher I like, we're going to love Corbin Burns. And we've seen other Brewers pitchers have weird home road splits. Not weird. Most pitchers have home road splits, but we've seen Woodruff specifically have a much higher strikeout rate at home than on the road. That has not been as big of an issue with Burns. He's been fine on the road for sure, getting plenty of strikeouts there. Facing the Cardinals, a 94 WRC plus against righties, 24% strikeout rate. They're kind of like a middling matchup, but when we look at the game log for Burns, you're going to see a lot of big strikeout games. He did face the Cardinals 2 starts ago. It was in Milwaukee, but 10 strikeouts across 23 batters faced. The batters faced number is pretty low, but it's a lot of pitches for Burns, so I do expect him to go, like he's got a chance to get a quality start. So personally, I'm in on Burns for sure. He is my number 1 pitcher for tonight. Fantasy fun. Favorite stacks. There's a bug on my light. I'm trying not to kill it. I just want it to not be there. I would like it to live, just live elsewhere. Favorite stacks for today. I think my favorite stack is the Dodgers. They're facing Mike Fiers. Fiers lets up a lot of balls in play, like a lot of balls in play, about 80% of the time. And that's what we want in DFS. We want to target pitchers who let up a lot of balls in play. Fiers does that. Now, you look at Fiers' results this year. His ERA is, I think, 4.67. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. But 40% of his starts have come against the Rangers and the Rockies, who are 28th and 29th in the league in WRC plus against righties. The Dodgers are not 28th or 29th in the league in WRC plus against righties. They're very good. You'll be shocked to hear this. They're quite good at baseball. So I think the Dodgers are my number 1 stack for tonight. I think I feel pretty confident in them. If you want a lower salaried stack, I do like the Royals facing Michael Fulmer. Fulmer's not going to go longer than like 3 or so innings, but the Tigers bullpen has a 5. The active roster bullpen has an ERA over 5 for the year. So I think that's why I still am okay with the Royals, despite the fact that Fulmer won't be out there that much. I would expect them to be fine against Fulmer because their offense is actually kind of okay, especially now with Franchy Cordero, Double Don Cordero back. We've also got Jorge Soler back. So I think the Royals offense is pretty good. After them, it's probably going to be the Red Sox against Alex Cobb as my 3rd stack of the night. Cody, favorite single entry stack. I really do feel like I need to get the Dodgers in there. I know that's not like a good thing from a popularity perspective, but I think that if you can go Burns plus Dodgers in single entry, it means you have to find some value elsewhere. But that's okay. Let's check out some salaries on the Dodgers here in the projected lineup over on numberFire and see if we can make them work alongside Burns. We got Betts at 44, Seager 4,000, Justin Turner's 31. He's been in and out of the lineup, so he might not play. But if we get Turner and Will Smith in there, both at $3,100, that makes it pretty easy. You can go Max Muncy or catcher/first base and Smith in the utility slot. I think you can make the Dodgers work with Burns, and I would like to do so. So I think, Cody, for single entry, my mindset is go Burns at pitcher, go with the Dodgers as your first stack, and then do what you got to do elsewhere to make those 2 fit, because I think that they are worth it for tonight. How do you feel about Anderson? Ian Anderson, very good. Ian Anderson's facing the Marlins. The only concern that I have about Ian Anderson is the weather. I was looking at Kevin Roth's forecast over on RotoGrinders. Go to rotogrinders.com/weather/MLB. He said that this game looked like there'd be scattered showers, and he was wary of pitchers in that game. This forecast is from this morning. If you go over to the numberFire games and lineups page and check out the forecast now, it looks better than it did when we recorded the solo shot this morning. So I am a bit more optimistic that this game doesn't have any delays. Delays for pitchers are bad because if it's a longer delay, he's probably not coming back in the game. So my only concern with Anderson is weather. Outside of that, he's pretty good. A lot of strikeouts for him. This is in his 5 starts in the majors. 3.92 skill interactive ERA, 32% strikeout rate, 32% hard hit rate. The Marlins have impressed me this year for sure, but they're still not an offense we need to avoid with a 24% strikeout rate. So I would say that Anderson would be my number 2 pitcher if not for the weather. The reason he's number 2 and not number 1 is the walk rate. He does walk a lot of guys. That's gotten him in trouble. He faced the Marlins at home a couple starts ago. I think it was 3 starts ago. And he walked like 4 guys in 3 innings and left after 3 innings. So that's why I have Burns higher. But Anderson is number 2 for me if we get the leash to do so with the weather. Alvin, favorite Red Sox bats? Okay, let's see if the Red Sox lineup is out here. Actually, yeah, it is. I know I saw it earlier. Okay, so we got Rafael Devers batting second. I'll always take that. Xander Bogaerts, I feel like I always wind up being lower on than consensus, and it bites me a lot, so maybe I should be higher on him. But let's pull up the Red Sox numbers against righties here, because I want to see Christian Vasquez. I want to see if I have the leeway to use him. Against righties, 28% hard hit rates, 35% fly ball rate, but good results. That could work. Actually, Bogarts' numbers against righties are pretty good. Not the results necessarily, but the peripherals are pretty good. So I should probably be a bit higher on Bogarts than I usually am. Let's build this out here. Let's go Corbin Burns and my pitcher. Let's pull up the Red Sox and see what we want to do here. I do think that the comp that I gave this morning for Alex Verdugo is David Peralta. And I think that David Peralta, despite not being a perfect player for daily fantasy, he was still someone when the Diamondbacks were good, who I was willing to use, despite the fact he didn't have this big fly ball rate, because he was going to get on base. He's going to hit some doubles and stuff like that. And there's value in that. So I would say Verdugo is very similar to Peralta, and that works for me. So I'd say Verdugo, we go first. I know JD Martinez has had a pretty rough year. The results aren't good, but like the peripherals are still there. A lot of fly balls, so a good enough hard contact rate. If I'm stacking the Red Sox, I generally do want Martinez in there. So I'm going to start with those two. I'm probably going to need a value here because we're at 29.83 left with Corbin Burns. So I think that it's between Vasquez and Jackie Bradley Jr. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s numbers against righties aren't that good. Not enough fly balls, not enough hard contact, a few too many strikeouts. So I think if I'm choosing between Bradley and Vasquez, I'm probably going Vasquez. I know people don't like to use catchers that often at FanDuel because you don't have to, but I do think here, just like if you look at his raw numbers, the raw numbers say we should prefer Vasquez over Bradley. So I kind of think that I'm okay with going Vasquez. So to me, I would say he's going to be my number 3 guy here. Then it depends on what you can afford. If you can afford Bogarts, definitely I'm willing to go there. If you can afford Devers, definitely okay with that too. But I think that these are the 3 I'm starting with, Alvin, and going from there. Fantasy fun. The last time the Braves faced Lopez, they put up almost 30 runs, but they are so expensive. 4 guys over 4K. Yeah, so that's part of it. It's also because, like, I don't want to overreact to one game because Pablo Lopez over a larger sample is a good pitcher. This is, let's see here. This is his 6 starts with more four-seam fastballs, 4.36 skill interactive ERA, 23% strikeout rates. And if you look at his results this year, like, he's actually had good results, even when you include that blow up against Atlanta. He's kind of in like that middle zone at pitcher where you can have really good starts and really bad starts. So it's within the range of outcomes for Lopez to get rocked again tonight. But for the whole season, he's been a good pitcher. And I prefer to put faith in full season stats over the small sample ones. In addition to that, it's hard for me to get to Corbin Burns and the Braves. And I'd rather spend it for the Dodgers if I'm going to spend them. So I would say the Braves lower on my list and probably not a team I'll get to, even if we do get good weather there. I think for tomorrow, the Braves are really fun. They're facing Chris Mazza. If you want a little sneak peek at tomorrow's main slate, I would say you can go full speed ahead of the Braves there. But for tonight, I think I'd rather go with the Dodgers if I am paying up for stud hitters. Alvin, do you have the Orioles or Royals ranked higher as a stack? Royals, for me, I feel better about the Royals offense having upside. Soler has double dong upside. He's got Soler power, as they say. Alberto Mondesi is one of the highest upside hitters. I know that's very stupid to say. It's probably dumb, and like this is being recorded, but like I do think that Alberto Mondesi is one of the higher upside plays in daily fantasy. You can trash me for that if you want. It's probably fair. It's probably justified, so go ahead. But I think that that's just the case. Like now that he's actually hitting well again, if you give me him hitting well with his stolen base upside, like that's awesome. $2,900, I would say he alone kind of helps make the Royals my preferred stack between the two. Yeah, 25.1 last night. Yeah, you can go, look at this. Yeah, man, he's awesome. So I think that Mondesi is probably kind of tilting the scales for me in favor of the Royals. I do like the Tigers. The Orioles, I should say. I mentioned them against Martin Perez. Austin Hayes, I think, is batting 5th for today. So if you need a salary saver, I could go there. But I think, to me, I prefer the Royals over the Orioles for tonight. Fantasy fun. Low-key like Lynn tonight. Actually, I don't mind him. This could kind of be like our revenge spot because the Astros, have lost me so much money this year. They were fine earlier this week, which is nice. But they have, outside of that, have lost me a lot of money. They were fine earlier in the year, too. So whatever. But we could use them as like a revenge spot. The problem I didn't have Lynn here is that I know the Brewers had nothing to play for, but neither do the Rangers. And also we've seen Lynn using his four-seam fastball less often recently. And when you look back at last year, the time where Lance Lynn really had everything click was when he started to lean on that four-seam fastball more often. He's been doing that less. What kind of sample is this? This is 6 starts with fewer four-seam fastballs, a 4.02 skill interactive ERA. His strikeout rate is down to 26% tonight, or in this span. So I am generally very pro Lance Lynn. A bit lower tonight just because that four-seam fastball usage is down, but I would still probably wind up ranking him number 3 behind Burns and Anderson. So if Anderson's not available, I guess that Lynn by default goes up to 2, but that's why I don't have him above Burns, despite the fact that I am generally pro Lance Lynn. Just a bit annoyed he's not throwing out that four-seam fastball all that much. Cody, when choosing batters, what all do you look for on FanGraphs? Okay, so let's go over here. And let's go to the Dodgers because we haven't looked at them yet. So I mentioned this before. I think we were talking to someone. I think it was Juan, maybe. He was asking about, oh, no, did I lose internet? Oh, no. Okay, well, we'll wait for the internet to come back on this one. But, yeah, okay, we're back now. Okay, so we got the internet back on the screen share. And we will pull that back up as I don't know why it stayed on the broadcast, but somehow it did. That's really wild. Anyway. Technology, man. So we'll go to FanGraphs here and check out these numbers. What I recommended before is making your own custom leaderboards. The way you do that is you scroll down here, you see custom leaderboards, and it allows you to pick the stats you want to focus on based on your process. For me, that means I want to see the batted ball data, and I want to see plate discipline numbers. I have WRC plus in there because it is nice to see some results-based stats. I probably should have isolated slugging in there too. I don't right now. I probably should change that. But when I have these numbers, it gives me a look at sample size of the plate appearance. It gives me a look at the batted ball numbers with these numbers, and it gives me a look at the plate discipline numbers too. So when I can look at those things, I can get a really good read on how I want to view a hitter for tonight. So because I have the plate appearance there, I can see that, Keibert Ruiz, I don't think is in the majors anymore. He was really fun when he was. But I can see, okay, it's 8 plate appearances. I can ignore that. But I can see, okay, Will Smith hitting the ball really hard with the hard hit rate and the fly ball rate being as high as they are. I can see he's avoiding strikeouts. So that gives me a sense of I can expect Will Smith to hit the ball hard. I can expect him to put the ball in play. And even if the results hadn't been there, I would be able to expect him to stabilize eventually. Max Muncy might actually be a good example of this. 160 plate appearances, so a good sample, but he hasn't had good results. But the batted ball numbers are there. 43% hard hit rate, 43% fly ball rate, 26% strikeout rate is higher than you like, but maybe we'll see some regression from Max Muncy as the sample gets larger. So those are the numbers, Cody, for me. I want to look at the batted ball data. I want to look at the plate discipline data and sprinkle in some results because there are some batters who will underperform their peripherals. Like Yadier Molina always tends to have good hard hit rates, but it never results in anything. So I do want to see the results, but the results are very much secondary for me after the batted ball numbers and the plate discipline numbers. Hopefully that does help. But again, I just recommend going to FanGraphs, making your own custom leaderboards and putting the stats in there that help you the most. Fantasy fun. Little off topic, I'm probably going to play some Showdown NFL. Who's your favorite captain? I don't know what a captain is because on FanDuel, they're called the MVP. Come on, Fantasy Fun. Let's play on the right side here. My favorite MVP is actually Ryan Fitzpatrick. I am kind of downgrading the Jaguars offense with no DJ Chark a little bit, just a tiny baby bit. But we know Ryan Fitzpatrick will run a bit. So if I'm filling out a single entry lineup for the single game slate tonight, because that's the terminology we use here in this house at FanDuel, FanDuel.com. I would say Ryan Fitzpatrick's probably going to be my MVP, and we'll see what happens. Isn't Perez a really good ground ball pitcher? Yes, he is so every pitcher in Major League Baseball is really good. Let me just say that first. I don't think he is above average relative to other major leaguers. And the other thing that we like about Martin Perez is that he allows a lot of balls in play. Balls in play are valuable, regardless of whether they're on the ground or in the air, because you can't score points in the strikeout, and Martin Perez is not getting a lot of strikeouts. So that's why I have the Orioles lower on my list. It's because he can get some ground balls. I guess not as many ground balls this year, but he does limit hard contact. That's why the Orioles are lower on my list. But I'm not going to exclude them because I can say with a good amount of certainty, they're going to put the ball in play, and balls in play can lead to good events for daily fantasy. Look at the projections here from Zips, run by Dan Zimborski. That's one I tend to turn to first, just because I know Dan's process pretty well based on we've had him on covering the spread. 5.24 ERA. That's like the forward-looking projection for Perez. So even though the results have been good, I'm still okay using batters against Perez. But because he's so good at limiting hard contact, that's why I prefer to put the Orioles a bit lower. Question from Aaron. I guess David from Aaron. Hey, Jim, day early last 2 days on St. Louis and Kansas City. I did mention Kansas City last night as a play, like a secondary stack. So I think they scored like 14 runs. So we're going back to the well tonight. So why not? Aaron, Franchi going to play tonight? I hope so. Franchi Cordero double donged last night. Honestly, like, I don't know if I need him to. Yeah, he's playing. Okay, so he's batting 8th. A little bit lower than you like, but like Franchi Cordero, Duke did some dingers. My concern would be that Franchi's probably going to be pretty popular tonight just because he did have that 2-homer game. Franchi Cordero has like in the NFL, we talk about like there are truthers of like I'm a Teddy Bridgewater truther, or at least I was back in like 2015 or 2014 or whatever. There's a Franchi hive. Like there is a contingency of people on this planet who are really big Franchi Cordero people. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of fun. So I think that, I think Franchi Cordero is interesting. But again, the risk there is that he's probably going to be pretty popular just because he did have that big night last night. Franchi is minimum salary $2,000, batting 8th. You know, I can get behind that because it does give you a lot of flexibility. That's the word. Alberto Mondesi, we definitely want in there, assuming I didn't actually check to see. Okay, so he's in there. Maikel Franco up to 4th in the batting order. That's really interesting. No Jorge Soler. That makes me sad. I kind of wish we had gotten Soler in there. So that's annoying. Let's check out the numbers on Ryan O'Hearn. I'm also sad because McBoomstick got designated for assignments. So that's disappointing because I just like saying his name. O'Hearn, a lot of hard contact, but really bad results. Maybe I shouldn't care too much about that. What's his salary? O'Hearn is $2,300. Okay, fine. I give in. If I want to stack the Dodgers, O'Hearn makes it easier, so we'll do that. And then it's between Maikel Franco and Hunter Dozier. Maikel Franco. We'll go Franco. Why not? He fills third base. I know Justin Turner's at third base, but if we do that, we give ourselves 35-75 left for the Dodgers. That works for me. So I think the Royals have a lot of value, more value than I thought, mostly because I was hoping Soler would be in there. I do think Salvador Perez is a good play. I didn't include him in this mock stack here, but I do think that he is some. Yeah, okay. So Fantasy Fun just mentioned that Salvador Perez has been good. Yeah, double dong last night for both Salvador Perez and Franchi Cordero. Chip, thanks for the help last night. Finished number 1 in a $2 single. Awesome, Chip. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, it's really hard to finish first in these tournaments. You kind of need to hit the nail on the head at every single position. So congrats to you, Chip. Clearly you are digesting the information right, because I can say whatever I want, but it also like you put your own process into this. So congrats, Chip. That's awesome. Thoughts on Houston tonight? This is from Cody. Houston is facing Lance Lynn. I don't want to go there. I know I just talked about how Lynn isn't like as high for me as a pitcher as usual, but like I still don't want to sack against him. So no Houston for me tonight. Fantasy Phone is talking about they're already using Parker Gesicki. Gesicki's really good too. He has like 50% of the D targets this year and 50% of the red zone targets. So Gesicki, I think, is 10-5 on FanDuel. So I like Gesicki too. Hello from Sarugi. What's your top pitchers in stack for GPP? Corbin Burns, top pitcher. If we get the all clear on Ian Anderson, I'll go there as well. Lance Lynn, number 3. Christian Javier, number 4 for pitchers. Top stack will be the Dodgers. Royals, number 2. We will go with the Red Sox, number 3. I think the top 2 are pretty definitive. So Cody tends to ask a lot about single entry. I think tonight is a very good night for single entry, mostly because the number of players I want to use if Anderson's taken off the table is not that large. So I think tonight, like if you've never played single entry is awesome just because like your opponents are hitting every combinations, and like that's a big part of multi-entering. So I think tonight is a great night for single entry in MLB DFS. I would have Burns in there. I'd have the Dodgers in there. I'd have the Royals in there. And we party after Alberto Mondesi scores his 40th FanDuel point, then we'll party. That is all the time that we have for today. But as mentioned, we are back here again tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, for the Snake Draft NFL Week 3 main slate live on air with myself, JJ Zachariason, and Brandon Gadula. We'll do our Snake Draft live. I'll try to go to 3-0, and we'll break down the Week 3 NFL DFS main slate. So make sure you subscribe to the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Periscope pages to get notifications when we go live there. Stick around after because we'll do the MLB DFS Q&A at 4 p.m. as always, our final one of the year. Fantasy Fun asks for Tigers love. Yes, I think the Tigers are a good lower salaried stack for today. Just thought might as well get in there before we wrap up for today. Big thank you to Calvin Theobald, our video producer, for on the video side of things here today. Thank you, Cal, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck. Be a chip tonight. Replicate Chip's success from last night. Go get yourself some sweet, sweet cash. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow. This has been the FanDuel Fantasy Q&A.